The biggest lesson trading has taught us over the years is that what you tell yourself can really cost you in trade. If you've ever hesitated, overtraded, exited too early, or revenge traded, it didn't start with the charts. It started with the story that you told yourself in that moment. The voice in your head that shows up every time you're about to take a trade, or maybe if you don't take a trade. Today, we're going to be breaking down how to rewrite that story so it stops working against you. My name is Chrissy.
And I'm George.
And welcome to Married to the Market. So, guys, let's talk about rewriting this story, right? Because a lot of us, we are missing out on trades and a lot of money because we keep telling ourselves dialogue that just isn't true.
The thoughts is going to reshape how you execute on trade.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very big when it comes to trading. What you tell yourself is going to shape how you actually execute in trades, how you take those trades, how you feel when you're in those trades. So we want to tackle that today.
Just like we talked about on the previous podcast about your environment, we need to talk about the environment up here, like what's in our head. Because if you tell yourself that you're not a good trader, guess what? You're not going to be a good trader.
Yeah.
If you tell yourself that you don't know how to do something, you're not going to learn how to do it. We got to get into a stage in 2026 where there is no excuses. We are not playing that game no more. We are going to be speaking positivity. This is why affirmation, even trading affirmation, things of that nature is so important. Because like you said, what we're saying to ourselves can dictate. And if you trade with your spouse, what you tell your spouse matters just as well.
Yeah, it's just the fear of losing our doubt.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when people are just starting out, they don't know how to control those because it might be that they're not familiar with their strategy. It might be that they're not used to certain things, but repetition, that's why I always mention to paper trade first. Just what you tell yourself is very important when it comes to trading.
What do you tell yourself when you
Yeah.
do you tell yourself I'm a failure? Do you tell yourself I'm no good at this? Do you tell yourself I'm gonna quit? Do you say those words? Because that's what's pulling you back and making you fall 10 steps backwards.
Yeah, those internal dialogues.
Yes.
The internal dialogues that you're having with yourself. What are you telling yourself, right? Those are emotional things that's going to happen. And yes, you might have days where you did not trade right. You might not have the perfect day. But even in those days, there's something to be learned. Instead of beating yourself up, look at it as what did I learn? What can I learn from my mistakes so I don't do it again? Instead of saying I'm not good enough or I'm not the trader that I'm supposed to be or this is not for me.
A lot of those hesitations come from your past mistakes. We've all had mistakes. So if you're
Yeah.
watching this, don't think that you're the only one.
Yeah.
We've all had that. We've had times where we say, yo, I'm done. I'm giving up. But that's something that we had learned over the years. This is why we're making this video. So you guys can stop making the same mistakes if you're already telling yourself some of these things. And if you are, comment below. I want to know, like, are you already speaking this into existence? Are you telling yourself these things?
Most people, I'm gonna be real. I talk some crazy stuff to myself before.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like we have notes here because some of these stuff is relatable. 90% of the people that trade and that say they want to become traders and they want to do it full time. At some point, you're going to have these conversations with yourself. But if you're first starting out, if you're a beginner right now, you might see these as key to where, all right, when these start happening, you find a better way to talk to yourself. Instead of talking down to yourself, you talk to yourself in a positive, more friendly way.
So a lot of the things that we do as traders is that we are constantly giving like sabotaging stories. And some of the examples that I want to go over is maybe you said this to yourself before, I'm always messing up,
Yep.
right? I'm always messing up. I missed the last move. I can't get the next one. I need this trade to work.
You don't even know how many times I've said that.
Uh,
Like I've said that like back in the day, right? Not now, but back in the day,
Yeah.
you can't imagine how many, like you have to look at it. I almost quit trading. She quit and came back. I almost quit trading. I'll put it on the side for a little bit. I wasn't as focused, but you know, a lot of times I'm like, yo, this trade gotta work. Right? You have to stop telling yourself that. You have to come from a place where the doubt is not there because when you're telling yourself that it gotta work, then what if it don't work? Because not every trade works. So when it doesn't work, what happens next?
And you also tell yourself, I'm not consistent enough. When you start speaking, those little stuff are starting to steep in. Someone also mentioned, I was talking to them, they said, everyone sees it, but I don't. You
Mhm.
do see it. You think you don't see it, but you see where the trade is going. You see the mistakes you're making. You see it all. You just have blindfolds on. And now it's time to unfold those blindfolds.
Yeah, that's why we always talk about journaling
Yeah.
is a big part of it, right? And paper trading. Those are two things we highly recommend, especially through our mentorship for beginner traders, because you don't want to go out there using real money to begin with and not know how to execute properly, having these conversations in your head. And then when you're using real money, you blow your old account and now you're wondering, all right, this is not for me. I got to go back to work.
The thing is, I don't want you guys to ever feel judged. Georgia and I are not here to judge you by any means, but we are here to bring things to awareness so you can
Yeah.
start to correct them right away,
Yeah.
right? Trading comes with losses. It is what it is. But how you mitigate that, your risk management, all of that truly matters. Those past losses can really set you up for failure, but it's what you do. So you know that you're not going to be taking these emotional trades. You're going to be doing better, right? So if any of these are standing out as we're going through them, let us know.
Yeah. The comparison is a killer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times as beginner traders, you might be in a particular community or you might be trading by yourself. But when you're trading by yourself and then you go on Twitter, you go on Facebook, all these different platforms, and you see somebody take a trade and they might make 10 grand, 100 grand,
Hmm.
and you just made 50 bucks, you might say, man, you're starting to second guess yourself,
Yeah.
but you actually won. So
Yeah.
there's nothing to feel bad about. You can't do that comparison. That will steal everything from you. So respect the process. Talk to yourself more positive because at the end of the day, $50 accumulated. I break down something as far as a 5% compound effect. If you guys join our Discord, it's free, but I posted in my Discord a simple stuff as 5% daily can get you to a ridiculous amount if you just follow rules.
You're trying to trade without a plan. And I think when you don't have a plan, that's where you get confused. You start making mistakes, things start happening. That's where that bad self-talk come from because you don't know what you're truly doing. Right? But when you educate yourself and you have the right mentorship and you have the right team to keep you accountable, accountability is so important when it comes to trading. Because when you don't have the accountability, you do foolishness,
Yeah.
right? You do foolishness. You start doing all types of trades. You start over trading because you don't know better.
Yeah.
You don't know better in this particular
Yeah,
aspect.
accountability is gonna be important in
Yeah,
everything. If you think about it, with mentorship, people get mentorship because they need accountability. They need somebody to teach them, right? So they could get to a place where that mentor is, right? If you're going into business, a lot of times you see somebody that inspire you to get into business. It's not, oh, you know what? I'm just gonna get into business to get into business. You're doing it because somebody inspire you. You want better for yourself, but you have to make sure that you have that guidance, and being part of a good community is going to be one of them.
correct. Because, like I said, the story that you're telling yourself is going to shape who you are, is going to shape your execution when it comes to trading. Because at that point, if you are having that negative self talk, you're going to hesitate a lot. And
Hmm.
hesitation, man, I'm telling you guys, I can't tell you how much money I have lost because I hesitated. We wanted to take a quick break and say thank you guys so much for watching this video. Did you know that 80% of the people that are watching this video are not subscribed? And you might be one of those people just as well. And if you are, do us a favor and click that subscribe button and join us on this journey. Watching this video, that means you might be interested in options trading. I'm not sure if this is for you, but I wanted to let you know that George and I have a 6-week mentorship called Married to the Market. We'll be teaching you everything about options trading and holding your hand throughout this process. If that sounds like something that you would be interested in, make sure you pause this video and check the description because we're going to be putting all the information that you need and to see if you're qualified for this. So if this is something that you want, we would love to have you guys in the Married to the Market family. So guys, let's go ahead and jump back into the video.
Yeah.
There's no reason to hesitate when your strategy presents itself,
Yeah.
right? You're going to stop making the moves that you need to, right? You're going to stop going further. Sometimes you're so afraid that you won't put the amount that you know you should be trading with, right? You'll put it on certain ones and then you don't, and you're being inconsistent.
Yeah. It's holding the winners.
Yes,
You're selling the winners too quick and holding the losers too long.
yes.
And then it comes down to, man, I can't get ahead. right? Because it
Mhm.
all happens to us. But the thing is, you have to realize, like, you have to create a boundary with yourself to say, all right, enough is enough. By journaling in, by doing that, it allows you to see what you're doing right and wrong.
Mhm.
So doing that is like, all right, I'm selling too early on my winners, and then I'm taking a bigger loss. So what do I need to change up? And a lot of times it could be that the risk to reward, you might be going in too heavy. So you can't keep the winners because you might be thinking about
Yeah.
the last trade, right? And because the trade that you lost was so big, as soon as you get a winning trade, you want to make sure that you take that trade and take profit. That loss that you made, it could be that you was up 10, 20% on it and you didn't take it, right? And then now you lost 50 to 60%. But now when you're up 10%, right, 20%, you quickly take that,
Yeah.
right? And it has to take 10, you have to take 6 trades to get back where you were at if you're taking a 10% win. So when you're talking about taking bigger losses, right? The bigger losses is going to put your account back. You have to work 10 times harder to get that account back up. So the talk that you have to talk with yourself is, I have to be positive. It
Absolutely.
have to be positive, because if not, it could be damaging to your account. It could be damaging to your trading career.
Your execution problems are your mindset problems. That's it. They go hand in hand.
Yeah.
Your mind is everything. It's either we're going to do this right or we're not going to do it at all,
Hmm.
right? That's where you need to be. So there are some differences that we do need to talk about. Let's talk about setups.
Okay.
So with the setups, is it meeting your rules? Does this trade fit the risk that you're taking on? These are things that you need to be asking yourself, right? Is this trade in my actual setup? Is this part of my plan? If it's not part of your plan, you need to leave it alone. Because there's times we did lose. I would look at George and say, was that part of the plan?
Yeah.
Was that part
Say
of the plan
100%
today?
of the time, like 100%. I could go over my 5 trades that I lost on last month, and I could tell you why I lost on them.
Yes, because it wasn't part of the plan.
No-
It wasn't part of the plan. Sometimes it's not.
Most, like I could say, like, probably 2 of them were, and I got faked out of those.
Okay.
The other 3, it's like I got in anticipating that it will go back, right?
Mhm.
Even though I was profitable, I didn't take the profit on it,
Yeah.
and then end up going against me.
Mhm.
So those are the things that you have to bear in mind when you're trading. If you're taking your setup, take your setup. But sometimes you will get fake out. The whole point of trading is just make sure that you're not doing the self-talk that can damage you,
Yeah.
right? Because the self-talk that's damaging, it will seep over in different things. Now, before you even start trading, if you're talking to yourself negative already, if you don't believe in yourself, if you're having doubts, if you're believing that people tell you that you can't do something, you can't accomplish something, work on that right now before you even take a real trade.
So it's coming down to how to rewrite your story. You got to figure out, okay,
Yeah.
how am I going to rewrite my story? You got to catch it in the moment, catch it in real time. So when you hear that little voice, is not you, but it's that little voice telling you, oh, you're not good enough, tell yourself, you know what? Yes, I am good enough. I spent the hours, I spent the years, I spent the money. I am good enough. I'm going to learn this.
Some of the stories, because I have to say these, right? These are crazy. And we want people to know that we're normal just like you are. So some of the stories, this one has to work. We mentioned that earlier. There's times where you're gonna say, man, this trade have to work out, right? But it might not. The next one is, I can't afford to lose. If you can't afford to lose, you shouldn't be trading, because there's time where your trade might go against you and you might have to take a loss, right? And then the next one is, I always lose on Fridays. Now, I can't tell you how many times I used to hear this from my wife, to
Yeah.
where the point where she said, I'm no longer trading on Fridays, because she had that belief, right? To where she would trade, and then Friday comes and all her profit is gone.
Yeah. It
All the profit that
sucks.
she made all week is
But I
gone.
created a new plan for that. I take my profit.
Yeah.
That's what my plan is. Don't let a green trade turn red. My group doesn't know where that saying came from.
It's
It came from my Friday, my hard Friday.
it happened so much that she said, yo, forget it. And she quit.
Yeah.
She quit. I wouldn't say quit.
No, I took a
She
break.
she took
Difference between quitting and
she
never
took a
trading
break,
again, I said,
right?
"I need a break."
She took a
Health is important.
Yeah, because and again, that's the crazy part of why we're having this discussion right
Yes.
now, is because the mental part about it, right? The stories that you tell
But
yourself.
imagine if I really would have quit. I wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah,
That's crazy to
yeah.
think about.
So when you're talking about the Fridays, it's creating the discipline, the environment, the identity that you create within yourself, the stories that you're telling yourself to
Yep.
say, all right, you know what? I can do better. I still can be profitable. I still can trade on Friday. Maybe I don't trade all day. Part of the thing is that we try to trade all day. Sometimes you only need to be trading once for the day,
Mm.
right? And not being 4 or 5 different trades at a time because you can't monitor. If you're just starting out, there's no reason you should be in 3 or 4 trades at a time because you can't monitor all 3 at the same time. It's gonna be frustrating. You might lose out on taking profit when you're supposed to because you're watching a different trade.
Yeah. So we're rewriting that story. That's all it is. It's just rewriting the story that you tell yourself every single day. You caught it in real time, right? Now you're labeling it as a thought, not truth. It's just a thought. Maybe you just needed a day off.
Mhm.
Maybe you just needed the week off, right? And there's no shame into that. And just replace it with a rule based statement. That's what we have to do to get ahead because return focuses on execution and how you're executing, making sure you have the right strategy,
All right. So with that, here are some examples, right? That
right?
you could tell yourself.
Mhm.
So instead of saying, I need this trade, sometimes you could say, well, you know what? I'm going to follow my plan. So replace it with, I need this trade to, I'm going to follow my plan. If you follow your plan, if you have a strategy and you're following that strategy, waiting for the A1 setup, you shouldn't have to worry about anything because your strategy works. So you know that the trade will work, right? The next one is I always mess up. So you want to replace that with I execute one trade at a time. So now you're not saying, okay, I'm in 2 or 3 different trades. And now you have to monitor and you're always messing up because you might have profit here and you end up losing on it because you was monitoring and you're all over the place. So now there's no more time for messing up because guess what? You're gonna be focusing on one trade at a time.
And that is what we call neutral thinking. Not everybody needs to be happy, go happy 24/7, right? But I think it goes hand in hand. Neutral thinking and still having a little bit of positivity in there
Mhm.
just as well. But journaling, we talk about journaling all the time because it's so important. That's why we came out with the Married to the Market 100-day journal. When you're documenting it, you're not just writing out the trades, you're writing out your thoughts that went along
Yeah.
with the trade. I think that's where you get a little bit deeper. And that's why we have certain things in our journal because we want you to document it all. Guys, we're traders just as well, right? So we know what's needed and what's not needed when it comes to journaling. You need to understand when you're journaling, what is the emotional state that you are in? We always say if you're going through some hard times, a divorce, separation, things of that nature, having problems, take a break.
It's one of those things where when you're trading and you take a trade,
Yeah.
if you feel a certain way when you take the trade, you have to monitor certain things in your journal, right? Because if you go in a trade and if you feel bad when you get in that trade, then when you journaling, you have to ask yourself, how did I feel when I get in this trade?
Yeah.
Was I feeling confident? Was I sure about the trade? Was I unsure about the trade? Did I leverage too much? Did I go in too early? Those are all things you have to write down,
Yeah.
right? Because now you're talking about the emotional part. How did you feel? If you were confident in the trade, you're gonna feel good. Versus if you're nervous about the trade, you're over leveraged, you got in too early, you're trading on FOMO. All those stuff need to be written down why you take the trade. So journaling is gonna be important regardless. Journaling is going to get you to that point where you say, all right, I've seen what I've been doing wrong. I've seen what I've been doing right. Let me correct those. Let me work on those. Because if you're not journaling it, then it's going to come down to the point where you're not knowing your mistakes and how you could fix them.
Yeah, but it's not only about our entry. How do we feel after? When we exit that trade,
Mhm.
right? Did you get your take profit? Did you write that down? You got to document this and the pattern in your mind. Were you talking bad to yourself? What is the pattern that you're seeing in your mind? Are you feeling anxious? Are you feeling worried? Are you stressing, like you said? Were you over leveraging? All of that matters when you're journaling. And the only way for you to improve is for you to see that over a long period of time, not no 5, 7 days. I'm talking about a longer period of time so you can see where you're good at. Fridays were tough for me when I first got started, but realize what your good days and what your bad days are.
How you feel about Fridays now?
Profit is profit. I take my money. So I'm happy. I had to build back up that confidence.
Yeah,
I have to remember that those contracts expiring today. So it's not like a Monday and I got time for this to play out. No, you need to make a decision right now.
yeah,
Profit is profit. That's why I always tell my team, don't let a green trade turn red. Take your money.
yeah.
Okay? Because there's so many other trades out there. Don't go down into so much drawdown on a Friday, praying and wishing that it's going to come back. You're going to kill your account.
Yeah, so you see, she changed your story, right? Now you have to think about what happens when you change your story.
Yeah.
A lot of times for her, profit is profit, but also it creates calmer entries in your trade,
Yeah.
right? You know that, all right, you're getting in the trade and you're more calm about it because you
Mhm.
done change your story. Now the trade doesn't have to work. Now you don't feel like you're always messing up. Now you don't feel like you're always chasing. You're not comparing yourself to others.
Correct.
You're now calm about it. So cleaner exit
Yeah.
and entries when you're taking trades.
I am less emotional for sure. Why?
Yeah,
Because at the end of the day, when you have the right strategies, you are so calm. You know where your entry is, where your stop loss is. You know your take profit. You know all of this. So you're so calm. You have more patience, right? You given the trade time to play out. Just when if you get in on a trade on a day, doesn't mean that it's going to hit that day. You have to understand that. If you get in on a week, doesn't mean that it has to hit that week. It could take a couple of weeks. Don't even have to hit. But take your money as you go and learning to scale out of your positions is so important.
trust the process.
Trust the process, baby.
This is not a sprint. This is a marathon. You got to prep yourself. And how you prep yourself is mental. It's also how you do things as far as when you're talking about strategy. It's when you're executing. All of this ties in. So when you're talking about the story that you're telling yourself, you have to tell yourself positive things. You have to feed yourself with positive things. You can't keep on talking to yourself negative and expect that it's going to work out for the best. So trust the process and know that, all right, there's going to be learning curves. There's going to be days that the trade doesn't work for me because even though I got in on the trade, my execution was right, the setup was right, I got faked out or things reversed on us. So the thing that you have to realize is that while you're going through the process, while you're trusting the process, know that there's no time to quit. Just keep going, keep pushing. Don't quit, right? We gonna feel like we wanna quit,
Yeah.
right? I felt like I wanna quit. We took a break, but we came back using what we once was, telling ourselves the story of negative. We now turn that into positive, and it got us to where we need to get to. And it sure can get you to the same spot if you talk positive to yourself and tell yourself the positive stories instead of the negative ones.
Exactly. Guys, come on over into the Discord, come into the general chat. Let us know what are you going to be working on for 2026, right?
Yep.
I want to know your story because that's the only way for you to improve is for you to tell your story. So come and share that with us. And the next episode, guys, we're going to be talking about building your trader identity through rules, through habits, through discipline, because it's not a personality trait, it's a system issue. We're going to be fixing the system. Comment, rewrite the story in the comments if you're committed to becoming that trader and fixing your mindset. And if you have not watched the previous videos in this playlist, go back, watch them because they are going to help you and maybe share it with a friend. But other than that, we're going to see you guys in the next podcast.
All right.
Bye.